Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union, broadcasting live from behind the Blue Iron Curtain. This is your host, Sean. Well, it's Friday the 13th. For a lot of us, that's a good day. For others, it's not so much. There's some superstition around it. So I thought I would try to make this a little bit more fun, given the topic that we have to discuss. If you haven't checked out New Mexico laws or New Mexico news lately, and I don't blame you, it's mostly trash lately nowadays, but they're just basically regurgitating what's going on. And if you're in the know, you kind of figure this out in a hurry. Crime's running rampant in New Mexico, and the special session, well, it's not even a special session, it's the normal session for the Roundhouse. Now, why is that a big deal? This is where bills are pre-filed so that the House, the Roundhouse, the Senate, and the House of Reps in New Mexico can vote on bills to make them law. Now, don't take national wins that we've gotten on the national front as a reason to be complacent on the local front. We made it. Let me explain some things. House Bill 50 is one of the most draconian bills towards the 2A that has come out in a long time in New Mexico. It is an attempt, anyway. It takes a 10-round magazine and drops it down to anything less than that. So you can't even buy 10-round magazines if this passes, guys. Why is that a big deal? Why did I call this Fun Friday? Nothing like going out in BLM, on BLM land out here in New Mexico or your own private land and just letting it rip. Doing a mag dump when range officers usually freak the hell out when you bring a black rifle or a Kalashnikov to a range. They're very suspicious of you because they're all fuddy-duddy old dudes that need to go away in the 2A. But there was another thing I saw in KOAT where or maybe it was KRQE. These guys actually interviewed I want to say it was KOB. They actually interviewed it was KOAT. They interviewed a gun owner, and the gun owner, or not a gun owner, a gun shop owner. And the gun shop owner, in no distinct hidden agenda, said that you're basically putting him out of business. That there isn't a gun that's on his shelf that's of a modern iteration, larger than .380, that you can buy in a 1911, other than that you can buy with a smaller magazine than 10 rounds. Okay. So, basically, this is a gun grab in New Mexico. And it was so bad that Colion Noir, one of the smoothest dudes on the web, and is one of the biggest advocates for the Second Amendment, this flagged for him, and he did a segment on it. So, go check out Colion's video, because he explains exactly how most of us in the 2A feel. So what does this mean? Well, as far as parlance for House Bill 50, what this means is it was pre-filed. And it means that if they're already willing to pre-file and let the world know that they're coming for this type of thing, it means that we need to be ever vigilant in New Mexico, as always, during every Roundhouse session. And this is where it gets less fun. So, thinking about the fun stuff, with fun gun Fridays or fun Fridays, right? I got my first D50 drum from a friend for Christmas, and it is awesome. I've never considered drums. I did have a hiccup with it, but I think that was because of how I loaded it and how I ran it, more so than the actual device itself. But give me a second, I'll figure that out, right? The point being is you shouldn't have to get permission from the government to own anything, because they really don't have a point in telling you anything other than to tax you. And the argument can be made that, like Colion says, that so they do this ban, and what happens next? Crime doesn't go down. So they ban more of this magazine type of thing. So instead of 9, you can only hold 8. And then they finally see some results, and they stop right there. but then they tell you that you can't hold anything over 8 rounds. Crime goes up again. They go back to the same issue, and they make it lower and lower and lower until they ban them altogether. That's what the hell they're trying to do, is ban or bleed us from death from 1,000 cuts from this type of thing so that we don't exercise our rights. And it is far past time that people in New Mexico wake the hell up. Voting are red no matter who, blue no matter who. This is how we get into the situations we are nationally and locally. And in New Mexico, since we have a governor now who's been reelected and can't be reelected again, that makes her dangerous, especially when she hates the Second Amendment, and she will go after anything to appease the leftist on her committees. So if this was filed and it came out before the session started, expect more. And how we kill it in New Mexico is we show up at the roundhouse and we speak when they give us a chance, and we take up their time and we make this a slog so that they can't get other business done. It sucks that this is how we have to conduct business, and other things will take a back seat because of this. But it's pretty typical of politicians when they're trying to make sausage and go after your rights. New Mexico does have a crime problem. And to be blunt, it's honestly every New Mexican's fault. And when I say that, there was a bill that reformed bail some 5 or 6 years ago. And it was on the ballot to be approved by New Mexicans. And it was approved. And we're seeing that directly right now with the bail reform problems we're having. So, keep voting, you dumbasses, for the same stuff, because that's what we keep getting, and this is what keeps causing the issues. Could you perhaps be a little more informed when you pull the hammer, or pull the lever, so to speak, or circle in the little oval in New Mexico, since we do paper ballots, and actually look at what you're doing before you do it, you idiots? I'd love to say you're not an idiot, and I hate calling my listeners idiots, but this is a problem that continues to happen, and if this last election should have shown anything, it should have reflected that we were pissed off at Lujan, and instead she still won. Now, the other local races were closer, and a lot of them she lost, meaning that she lost supporters, but overall she still won New Mexico. She didn't win San Juan County, that's where I live. It's because we pretty much despise the lady because she has done nothing for New Mexico. And when you say, oh yeah, she legalized weed, she did this, she did that. She shut down San Juan power generating station, which killed jobs in northwest New Mexico in a time when we're going to have an energy crisis. She wants to buy alternative energy sources like solar panels and windmills for New Mexico, which makes sense to some degree because we have enough sun to make that happen. However, where the source components come is China. She's not on our side. During the COVID lockdowns, she sent state PD as her own Gestapo to shut us down from going to churches, going out and conducting our life as we normally could. She is one of these neocons that's an uber leftist that needs to be dealt with. We are second or last in education right now, and you can directly link that to her and the previous administration's interference with PED, and PED being weaponized against local educational authorities. And when that happens, you end up seeing stagnation in education. And that's what's been going on for years now. PED is not New Mexico's friends. The board of one district that got tired of the lockdowns was removed until it became politically untenable, and then they were put back in. So our governor in New Mexico hates you. If you don't believe me, all you have to look at is where your job is. If you're in the energy sector, she hates you. She wants your job gone. She wants to get you into another job that is in renewables, which is great, but will not provide the energy or the income that you're looking for. Legalization of weed, that to me is probably the best thing she probably did, because I see this as a giant waste on law enforcement and their time, effort to enforce something that is, and for all intents and purposes, no different than alcohol. And that's where I think we need to start taking our cues from, is a legalization of weed. Weed got a weird way into being legal in over 25 states, and how they did it was just people quit obeying the law. They just ignored it. And that needs to happen in the 2A. So while I'm an advocate, and you'll see me in Santa Fe, I guarantee you one way or another, if I can find a ride there after my payout for my capital to start my new business, I will be down there protesting. And I'll be handing out swag, because I'll get some stickers made from NMBROU. I will probably be down there broadcasting live to try to rally troops. Peaceful non-compliance is how we get through this. And when I say by that, it's intimidating as hell to some when you show up in web gear or armor and carrying your weapon. Is it legal in New Mexico? Yeah, absolutely. Do I have a problem with it? No. Does it send the wrong message for us? Yes. And we need to tailor our message just as much as the left does to the masses. And while I called you out, I'm trying to shame you because you keep voting for idiots, and you know better. We didn't have good options, I'll give you that, and we rarely do in New Mexico, so you kind of have to hold your breath and turn your head to vote. But it's rapidly becoming clear that voting isn't the way out of this. And the only way is by peaceful non-compliance and showing them they've overreached. We're done. Whether you show up at a board meeting at a school district and say, no, we're not doing that, and you make your voice known as a parent because you matter. If you hadn't heard my other stuff from Your Donut, You Eat It, which is another podcast I run, I went on an educational rant because I'm free. And when I say free, there is no one holding anything over my head anymore. I'm looking at starting in an industry that will benefit my family for the future, but in that time, I've got roughly 60, 90 days, somewhere in there, that I'm just going to be podcasting and trying to rise and grind and get the word out for another one of my buddies' businesses or partner businesses to try to get freedom for everybody, to maximize freedom. That's one of the core tenets of my businesses, of my business idea, my podcast, is we need to maximize freedom everywhere. Whether you agree with it or not, it needs to be everywhere. And when we start talking about our kids, you need to be more defensive, because the stuff that they're saying nowadays would have got someone a black eye or thrown in jail a long time ago. Child drag shows, children in drag, when did that become normalized? It's that slippery slope fallacy that everybody talks about that's actually a freaking cliff. And the 2A guys, all of us and ladies, we've been dealing with this for years. What's discouraging about that is when you get to the Roundhouse 4 protest, you're going to see a lot of older folks who still care about the Constitution. And while I may lovingly call them FUDs or whatever, they're not. These guys are strapped. These guys want the country to have the rights to do everything. And you find more often than not, they really don't care about these culture war issues. They only care about the core tenets of what our country was founded on. And our country was founded on not 1 inch. You can't push us. The people have the say, the government shouldn't. And we have long since reversed that. And it's time to take our power back and go after the senators, the representatives, and the governors, and the presidents, and whoever the hell else is that isn't towing the line to keep us free. They represent us. We don't represent them. And they need our support. We don't need their support. We need them to be just as fearful of us as they are of anything else, because that fear will drive them to do what needs to happen. A lot of people will say showing up to the roundhouse in full tactical gear with fully armed is the way because it shows them we're not going to back down. Yes, in a way it does. But at the same time, we have to be attracting them with sugar or honey before we beat them upside the head and tell them no. And the best way to do that is to look presentable, make sure we leave no trash when we go to the roundhouse, and that we are good representatives of our country. The 2A guys and ladies, we are the most patriotic people on planet Earth. We love our country, we know it. That's why we're so ardent of supporters of what the hell is going on in the 2A. And while people slumber and think, well, it can't happen here, to hell it can't. Look at Oregon. Oregon, that stuff that was going on there, that's a wet dream for the left right now, and we need to stop it. And how do you stop it, Cole? By showing up and saying, no, enough's enough. These people need to know, because they don't seem to see the results from elections that matter. Because they still seem to win. Because there aren't any other options, and people keep rolling forward with these guys because blue no matter who and red no matter who will get us somewhere. It's getting us to the flusher and the toilet rapidly. Wake the hell up. And this weekend, take that drum out. Take that 30-round magazine out. Take the 10-round magazine out of your AR, your Glock, your AK, your G3, your SCAR, whatever. Take it out to the range, exercise your rights, train a little bit, but most importantly, let's keep New Mexico tactical. Stay strapped or get clapped. Like, share, subscribe, be great.